Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well, thank you very
Fantastic.
much.
We are live on the Global Impact Show. Are you well today?
Yeah, really well, thank you. It's Monday. It's the best day of the week.
It is the best day of the week, and let's see how many people agree. We're live now, so we can see. We're live on Facebook, and we're also going to be broadcasting on YouTube later on. So we're just waiting for people to turn up. So, Amanda, thank you for. We've been trying to get this date sorted out for a number of weeks and months, haven't we?
I know, we've been so busy. It's terrible, isn't it? And that's no excuse either.
I know.
Busy is never a good excuse.
I know.
Never a good excuse.
I always talk about when someone says you're busy, that's a sign you're not. If you keep on saying it, you're just
Yeah,
like you're being effective and you're being productive, and that's the kind of words I like to use.
that's right.
And I know you've
Exactly.
been highly effective and productive lately as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well, never mind. We're here today for everybody to come and join us. It's very exciting.
Fantastic, great. Now, for those, I've got some great questions to ask you, and we've got some good things to talk about around entrepreneurship and branding. But before we go into that, for the people who may not have heard of you, Amanda, just a brief background about yourself and what you've been doing and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, those who do not know me, I am Amanda C. Watts, and the C is there for branding reasons, and I'll talk about that probably on the call.
Sure.
In 2009, I started my own business, so I've been an entrepreneur in bunny years, an entrepreneur since 2009. Actually, I had a hobby business then. But I've been running a business called the Freedompreneur Business Academy, which specialises in helping corporate employees escape their day job and start a business. And then 3 months ago, we launched a new marketing agency to a specific niche. So we're not stopping our old business. We still have the Freedompreneur Business Academy. But we have launched a marketing agency for accountants where we specialise in helping accountants do modern marketing, which is something that they haven't really embraced to date. But we do it all for them. So I'm the CEO of the business, but I don't actually do much implementing. Fantastic. I have my team that help me with that.
Fantastic,
so,
great. Yeah. Good. Just a little bit. So, what's your background? So, I know for people who don't know, we met on a course, the KPI course, mate, for 2014, I think it was.
Yeah,
when you joined.
That's correct.
So, what's your background? Is it marketing? Is it branding? What's your core?
It's really interesting, actually, because I didn't realise what my background was until I started analysing. But my background, I used to organise exhibitions, and I thought, well, that's not marketing or that's not branding. But when I looked at what I did in that business, it was all about marketing, sales, and branding. So I did that I've been doing it for about 25 years. So I left school, worked as an admin assistant in a marketing department, then went on into sales, then went on into organising exhibitions all over the world, lots of different exhibitions. So it is marketing, branding and sales. But I never realised, because I just saw me as an event organiser. But when I analysed it, that's what my talents and skills were.
Right, okay. And so I know you work a lot with freedom entrepreneurs, you call it. That's your agency. It's about people who want to leave the rat race and start their own business. Would that be a fair description?
Yeah, definitely a fair description. So what we find is 80% of people are miserable in their jobs, according to Deloitte. Absolutely unhappy. Right. And that's when I decided, actually, my life's pretty cool running my own business. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's pretty cool. And I wanted to help people have that life as well. And I have a lot of time with my children, and I spend a lot of time doing what I love. And that's what I teach now to others who want to escape the rat race and start their own business.
Fantastic, great. So just on that, you said entrepreneur, and then you did this, right?
Yes.
A lot of things. So give me your take, because I've got a very, when I say unique take, but I've got a very specific take on entrepreneurship and what it is and what it isn't. So for you, what is it, what isn't it, and why the sort of inverted speech mark?
The bunny is an entrepreneur. So I think if you run a business, one business, and you are the deliverer, if you are the service provider, you're not really an entrepreneur because you started the business around you and you are the deliverer. I see an entrepreneur as someone who has multiple businesses, or someone who has a business that's multiple millions of pounds and has investments and has lots of different ideas and sees. So I see an entrepreneur as a very, very big thing. And I believe I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I now have more than one business, and I've had failures, and I've lost money, and I've made money, and I'm working it out all the time. I still don't believe I am an entrepreneur. I think that some people describe it as a mindset. I think it's more about how you have multiple businesses and you run your businesses. At the moment, I'd say I'm a business owner, and in my old business, before I decided to launch the agency, I would say that I employed myself. is another way of doing it.
I get that. And I think that definition that you're given is probably a lot of people agree with that. My slight pivot around that is I would say you're very entrepreneurial in what you do. You know, you look at your business, especially the the Freedom Entrepreneur stuff you did before, and you looked at ways of maximizing serving your clients. And you use online tactics, you use real-time tactics, you use webinars, you use Facebook Live, and you're very entrepreneurial in your approach. In the same way here, you've had some challenges in your business and personal life, which meant I had to look at my business in a different way and start working with accountants. That is very entrepreneurial. To be an entrepreneur in terms of having multiple business, I completely concede. But this is where I'm really taking entrepreneurship. It's saying, do you know what? Anybody can be entrepreneurial in their life and create the life they desire. If that happens to be running your own business, or if that happens to be multiple, then so be it. So for me, entrepreneurship, you are very much an entrepreneur in the sense that the way you think. Now, whether that manifests itself, and if you look at the original definition of entrepreneurship, which means an undertaking and an inner motivation, you're that tenfold.
Okay.
The fact that you might not.
I'll take entrepreneur then. I will take that one.
So you act very entrepreneurially, whether you're entrepreneur in the current definition of a Western society. Okay, I concede with you, but you're one of the most entrepreneurial people that I know.
Oh well, thank you very, very much.
Absolutely.
That's lovely to know.
That's absolutely. Yeah. I love the stuff that you do. So
it's good. I'd like to be an entrepreneur. I'd like to be known as that.
Yeah.
So great. Yeah, I'll take that.
Especially when you work with a lot of people, the people who want to leave the rat race and start their own thing, isn't 90% of what you're teaching them is their mindset and how they approach it, and then the tools is just the side bit.
Absolutely, and what people don't realise is running your own business is mostly mindset. Because if you haven't got the right mindset and if you don't approach things in the right way, you aren't going to have the success that you kind of dream on. Because when you're in that day job, you're imagining what could happen, but that isn't enough to make it happen. And you might start a business, but you have to kind of get over yourself to then go and have that success. And I suppose the entrepreneurial mindset is actually getting over yourself and seeing the bigger picture, the global impact actually that you want to have. And it's not about you; it's about others. That's when you can
nail on the head. Now, Amanda, I love you. Nail on the head, because if you think about sort of the vision of On Spirit, which I'm so glad that you're a contributor for, it's about developing that mindset where you can apply that mindset to any domain you want. If that's starting a business, so be it. If it's getting a better job, so be it. If it's getting following a vocation, so be it. So fantastic, great. I really also want to talk to you about branding. You've got a very sort of understanding, because branding is not a logo. So just what's your thing about branding and where people go right and where people go wrong?
Okay, so I didn't realise how important branding was until I decided to take my business seriously. And when I started to invest in crafting a brand, so I think there's 3 stages of a brand. You've got your business brand, you've got your product brand, and you've got your personal brand. And when you start to see branding as more than just a logo. Oh, I need to have a logo done and I want it to be this colour sitting on my website. That's not enough. When you start to think about the vision for your business, what you want your business to stand for, and what you want your message to the world to be, and how you want to help people, all of that is about brand. It's about, I didn't say this. This was Jeff from Amazon said it. Your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. It's about your impact. And you talk a lot about the global impact. That's your brand. Your brand is the thing that leaves the global impact, not your product per se, and not necessarily your clients, but actually the brand and the message that you have. And the reason why Richard Branson does so well, and the reason why we fell in love with Steve Jobs, is because it was about the brand, and they got us to believe in the brand and the vision. And it's so much more than logos, colours and fonts.
Absolutely. I'm getting some comments here. Bobby Shah's totally agree with the branding and get that. It's all about getting across clients. Amanda, can I just look at the camera a little bit? Just the camera? That's it. Perfect.
Let me sit up a bit. Sorry.
That's it. Perfect. And Che said a great spin around the definition of entrepreneurship. Absolutely. And the thing around entrepreneurship is a bit like branding. Is how you see it. So can you give us examples? You gave us an example of Richard Branson. It's quite common. Can you give an example of maybe a business that you work with, maybe a smaller business that's got it, getting it right and doing it right?
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say, caveat, is those with really good, strong personalities, they can craft a brand really, really well. Okay, so one thing that I get a lot of my clients to do is to craft their brand around their personality. And I would say one of my favorite brands that have been created is actually, she is a branding person. She's known as the brand identity queen, and her name is Katie Bell. And when she joined me, she had a business that was called Mad Cow Graphics, and it was pretty okay. It was quite formal. There were multiple colours, and it was kind of staid and very kind of the kind of people you would imagine Nestle to buy from. Okay, but Katie is really bubbly, absolutely amazing lady, full of the joys of spring, massive personality, and she loves the 60s. And when we looked at taking her business from where it was, where she was kind of, doing leaflets for these bigger companies, to actually getting her to work with people she loved, we weaved her personality in. All of her website now has lots of beautiful pictures of her in her 60s clothes and doing her hair really well, and her personality comes across, and now she has Skype calls with her clients, and her whole brand is fun. And that's what Katie is. And she now attracts fun clients rather than the corporate staid clients that she really wasn't enjoying serving. So when she embraced her brand, she started to really attract her ideal clients. And that was just magic. And it took about a year for her business really to get consistent. But when she was consistent and when her image came across, oh my gosh, people fell in love with her. And now she's referred, she's fully booked and pretty exhausted, actually.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
What do you think needed for her to shift in her own brain to make that understanding that it's around her personality, not feel that's going to be restricting?
I think it's fear. It's overcoming fear of letting your personality come across and not feeling that you have to be all things to all people. So I know that I'm Marmite. I think you're Marmite too.
But now the question is, do you love me or hate me? Oh, no.
I love you. Absolutely love you. But it's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about the people who do really well in this world. They are Marmite. If you think of the really famous people down to those who look like they're emerging as leaders, the people who are leading with the leading brands are the ones that are going, I don't care. This is me. This is my message. This is the impact I want to have on the world. And love me or hate me, this is how I'm going to help you. And those that love them will go to them and help them.
So what you said, someone who's maybe had more of a not a great personality, but an outward personality might find it easier. So for those people who may not be naturally loud and gregarious like you and me, might be a bit quiet, is that a disadvantage for them?
I think you have to work out how you can actually use that to your own advantage. So one of my favourite entrepreneurs is a gentleman called James Wedmore, and he runs the Mind Your Business podcast. And it's awesome. If you don't listen to it, please do. It's absolutely brilliant. And he's an introvert. He's very quiet, but he's really knowledgeable. And he does go on video now, but when he started his business, he didn't like video. So he actually went on, started this podcast, and now he's had hundreds and hundreds of weeks of this podcast, has great, amazing people on it. But because he's so knowledgeable and so talented, we buy into his knowledge and his talent. He's actually also got over his shyness and his introvertedness, and that's enabled him to then grow because now he's got more confidence. But he found a way of doing it where he was super comfortable, and that was doing a podcast rather than doing videos like you and I are doing.
Great. So do you find that, because people who maybe are coming from corporate, who may sort of not be recognised for their value, they're sort of a cog in this big machine, all of a sudden enter this world of self-employment and running their own thing, you come along and say, look, you've got to get your personality out there, and they're like, no, I want to hide behind a product or a brand or service. What kind of things do they say to try and resist this?
Well, first of all, they come up with excuses. I don't know how to use the phone. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So I help them overcome that by going, this is how you use the phone. This is what to say. And then I kind of give them just a kick up the bum. Because what happens is the first time you do it, you're going to feel horrendous. The second time, it's not going to be so bad. And after 5 or 6 times, and you start seeing the difference that you're making, and people are reaching out to you, and you're serving people and helping people, you go, actually, I can do this. Yeah. And then it becomes addictive. Because once you plateau creating all this content, and then all of a sudden it starts to have an effect. And once you start seeing it have the effect, you're like, actually, I'm enjoying this. I'm getting clients. The business is working well. This is worthwhile doing. But you have to go through that pain to start with.
Yeah. And that's like anything. Anything you start, you start new, you're not used to it. You're going to have to go through a little bit of pain and trial and error before you get to. It's like that, you're consciously incompetent. You want to get to the point where you're consciously competent around that.
Exactly. I'm a bit like that with running. I've not yet got through that barrier, so got to the point where I enjoy it. I find 1,000,001 excuses never to do it. We all have our things that we don't want to do, don't we?
Good. The other thing I want to talk about, which I forgot to mention before, is around social media and your take on social media and how SME, small businesses should, could, and need to use it. Because there's also a tendency in thinking, just because it's there, I have to use it. But then there's a lot of noise created. So from your point of view, your perspective, what's the do's and don'ts around social media for you?
Okay, so the first one is only do it if your ideal client is on it. Okay. With the new business, with the marketing agency for accountants, we're using direct mail. I send out 5 letters a week and I phone them the following week, offering them the free call that so many people traditionally do through social media. Okay, so if your ideal client is on it, then use it. If they aren't on it, or if they're super busy, if you're trying to approach corporates, how are you going to get in front of those people? Think about it a different way. If they are on it, then what I would suggest you do is don't share tools, but share insights. Because it's very, very easy for someone to Google how to post on social media. Say you're a social media expert. Actually, what you need to do is share the insights and the bigger picture. You need to kind of raise yourself up a level so that you can be seen as a thought leader rather than just someone who shows you the tactics of how to do stuff. And less is more. I would rather someone posted once every 2 weeks with insights than every single day just adding more white noise to the social media platforms.
Great.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. There's 2 things I want to pick you up on. One is, so I don't forget it, one is about how do you know where your ideal client is, and the second one, the difference between tactics and being the thought leader. So let's deal with the first one. How does someone know if their target audience is on a certain social media platform?
Okay, you ask them. Very, very simple. When people start a business and they say, I want to serve this kind of person, I say, well, you go and ask them where they are on social media, where they hang out, where their friends hang out, how do they find out information, what their pain is, who do they visit already to help them overcome that pain, and do the market research. So many people start a business and start posting on social media and expect to get clients. It doesn't work that way, I'm afraid. So you have to get the foundations in place, and that can take a few months. But if you accept that and stay in your day job whilst you're getting the foundations right, that way you don't have to worry too much about the financials either then.
Fantastic, great. And on the second point, you say become a thought leader and share insights and not tactics. What's the difference there from your point of view?
Okay, so from my point of view, say for example, and actually you can do it very easily. If you do the first bit, actually ask your ideal client what their pains are. If you start market research with your ideal clients and the pains they're going around, you could create a white paper to give a percentage of people, for example, who are unhappy in their day job. Deloitte's did that, 80% of people. That's an insight. If you look and analyse the market and see where it might be in 3 years' time, that's an insight when you go, look, I've been looking at the market for the past 3 years and I predict this is what's going to happen in the next 3 years. That's an insight. Or, for example, I've been stuck in the corporate world and I've noticed that 80% of the women are lacking in confidence, which is why they blame others for not getting past the glass ceiling. With this insight, my mission is to make sure that they get the confidence, and here are some things that, will inspire them. I've noticed this is what inspires them. That's very different from if you need to get confidence, you need to, repeat 10 times that I am successful to yourself. That's a tactic. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Do you know what? It's amazing the number of years we're in this business, the number of times, and that is probably the most succinct differential between giving people an understanding what an insight is and actually a practical way of giving an insight, and what a tactic is. That is superb, and that in itself. So a lot of people will give me some likes and give me some hearts, people. If you're listening to that, was gold dust. That was fantastic, Amanda. I really like, because I've just written a white paper which will hopefully be published in a few weeks' time, called The Game Changing Entrepreneur. And I'm thinking about, as you were saying that, that's exactly it. The insights in there in terms of the different ways you can become a game-changing entrepreneur, what it means to be a game-changing entrepreneur, and then how people can actually start to put themselves on the path to make game-changing contributions. So it's exactly that, and I get that. It's really insightful.
The fact that you're even talking about game-changing entrepreneurs is an insight in itself. rather than just saying if you want to start a business. That in itself is everything that you're doing around this, interviewing us. You're enabling us to share our insights, which then positions you as the expert. And that is so helpful, rather than just you sitting there going, I think you should do this to be a game-changing entrepreneur. It's brilliant.
Oh, thank you for that, Amanda. And that's part of the reason with On Spirit, which I've got all these contributors. We've got about 30 at the moment and growing. You're one of the key ones there. And I love learning from other experts in sort of parallel fields, because you can't stop learning. And that in itself, I can tell you, I talk about strategy and tactics and insights, but I haven't heard it as succinctly as that. So I'm going to
have to go back and write it down.
Exactly. Well, it's recorded, so you can listen back. You can listen back on it, so that'd be great. That'd be superb. Jackie Barry saying, great example of a call to action. Give us some likes and hearts. Absolutely, give us some likes and hearts, everybody. Now, through recent, this is the other part about entrepreneurship, is you've looked at your business, something happened which required you to look at your business in a different way. And it doesn't really matter what happened. A lot of people will be in a situation where, oh my God, what I was doing currently, either I haven't got we can't do it that way, we have to change. And you had that situation. And just tell us about the thought process in taking the courage to change and how you chose your new market.
Okay, so that people are aware, I had health issues, and it meant that I was unable to be 100% present in my business. Now, where we talk about being an entrepreneur, I started a business. I was the face of the business. I was the deliverer. I was the salesperson. I was the marketing person. I wasn't admin. I wasn't accounts. I wasn't the geek, but I was doing all of those exhausting front-facing things. And what I realised as I was getting more and more tired was that actually, without me, the business didn't exist. So I had to create a business that if I decided that I was going to take a year off, for example, it would still function. Okay, so then when I realised that the business that I currently was running was not going to sustain me, and that actually it was either going to be my health or my business, so I decided to save my health and pivot as we talk about it. I said, what kind of business can other people deliver on, but I can still get my message out there and make a difference with my insights and my passion? Because actually what I'm delivering is exactly the same thing. I'm just delivering it in a different way. So that was the first thing I did, is like, well, I'm not going to start selling widgets because I don't love widgets. I still have to love what I'm doing. So I still love marketing. It's still my passion. Even in the business that I've set up, I still want to run strategy sessions. It's still going to be part of what I do, but it's not going to be all I do. So then how did I choose my market? Again, the people that I'm helping with the startups, one of the things is they're desperate. They are at that stage where it's make or break for them, financially, emotionally. They're super, super passionate. But what that means is everything has urgency behind it. And when something has urgency behind it, people aren't as grounded. This isn't everyone who I help with the startups, but a lot of startups aren't grounded when they start. And this stops them from having success. So a prime example of this is I was looking at my LinkedIn contacts the other day, and the people who started in 2009 when I started, I'd say maybe one or two of us out of 100 are still here. Wow. Everybody else has gone back and got their day job.
Wow.
Okay. So that to me is what rings alarm bells with startups anyway. So I thought, who can A, pay me, B, are super talented but don't understand marketing and need help, and C, how can I leverage it? So accountants definitely don't want to do marketing and don't understand it. They have money. They have clients, so I'm not starting with startups. Plus, there's massive things happening in their industry at the moment that means they're having to change their thinking. So I'm coming in at a time when things are getting shaken up. And because my personality is quite gregarious and is a little bit out there, I'm coming in to shake it up a little bit. But also, I am a rescuer, so I want to rescue the accounting industry. So I'm going to take away all their pain, charge them for it, but have this marketing agency that really helps the accountants.
Wow, that's fantastic. I've got a question here. Bobby Shaw said, I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Same health issues as well. And sometimes you have that, because this is something that you can't plan for. It happens, and like you say, you had to make a choice. What impressed me most about you, Amanda, is the speed at which you were able to start making those decisions. You didn't procrastinate around, well, I've built up this whole collateral of the freedom entrepreneur stuff, and will that go to waste? You were like, no, my health is important. Let's get that sorted. right, if I go back to where I was, I'm going to end up in the same cycle in 6 months' time. So,
Yes.
and then you had this thought process around working with accountants and doing the branding for that. And I think a lot of people, they might start a project and then get so stuck in, well, if I do that, it looks like I'm giving up
Yeah.
or not valuing it. How did you overcome the fact that actually I'm not giving up on that, I'm just pivoting?
Yeah, so I still have an online program that people can do through the Freedompreneur Business Academy. So that's still ticking over, and I still have clients that I serve. So I'm not leaving it behind, but it's not the focus anymore. What I decided was actually everything that I used, all the knowledge that I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds learning how to grow that business, I just apply it to a new market. But because I've already tried and tested it, that's the word, because I've tried and tested it, I know what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I also know, as you said, speed of implementation happens. And if you have speed of implementation, that's when you have success. So I've got 20, 30 years left to live like a really exciting life. If I procrastinate for a year, that's down to 29. And if I procrastinate a bit more, it's down. So let's just get on with it. What's the worst thing that can happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? I started my business on housing benefit. That's the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah. And like you say, with the sort of health issues you went through, it's like, well, anything else I can still deal with. I'm not
Exactly. My priority is to do what I love, be healthy, and be there for my kiddies, and make enough money. So when you look at it, it's like there's so much to say, Amanda, you need to change what you're doing. And for those that are unhappy, have health issues, or have started a business that they're not happy with, just bloody change it.
Great advice. Before I move on to the impact question, I've got Jackie Barry's asked a similar question. How do you avoid constantly chasing the shiny thing? So you're on this path that you've chosen this thing, and then all of a sudden you have this phone call, or this email, or you go to an event and you think, oh, that looks really shiny. That looks like. How do you avoid that distraction? What's your take on that?
I think I have been distracted so many times that now I've learned that I shouldn't be. So I would say about a year ago, I learned that to have business success, you concentrate on the one thing. So when I decided to start the agency for accountants, I knew that I needed one message, one problem that I help them overcome, one way to build my email list, one product that I'm going to have, one marketing strategy that I really get right, and 1 year. And it's those things that keep me focused. And every time someone says, oh, you should try that, or you should try that. No, I have to try this for a year. And it's head down and just do it. I've got a year to do it. If at the end of that year it hasn't worked, then I can tweak. But I have to try it for a year. That's me being strict with myself. But I think it takes 2 or 3 years to get to £500,000 or £1 million. So just... I'm not going to, by moving all the time, I'm never going to do that. So head down, 1 year, work it like fury.
So people know you're a human being, Ian. So people know you're a human being, Amanda. What's your Achilles heel? So you've got that perfect 1-1-1-1 formula, but what can put you off kilter, and how do you come back? What's your Achilles heel?
I love starting things. I hate finishing things.
Right.
Okay. So for me, one of the reasons why I'm so excited about pivoting is because I get to start a startup again. It's all exciting. It's all exciting. So I would say my biggest thing is finishing. I'm really rubbish at finishing. And actually, even today, I made a phone call to a lady who can come and help me sort out my inbox. It's absolutely horrendous. It's got hundreds of thousands of emails in it. And for the first time ever, I've gone, I'm going to have to pay someone to do something that I should do, that I don't even value. I don't value my inbox, and I'm going to have to pay for it. So I'm having to get out of my own way to sort out my mess that I've created.
And it's having that awareness you've got there, and then also saying, I'm going to do something about it. And it might be a cost, but actually... The time you can spend on what you do in terms of working with accountants and not worry about inbox is good money spent.
Exactly. And I don't know, there's still things I don't know. When can I get rid of that email from 3 years ago where one of my clients said, here's attached my first pitch, for example? It's like, when can I get rid of those? I don't know when to do it.
Yeah.
So I need someone to just come and archive it for me and get it sorted. Fantastic. There's silly things like that. Yes, I'm human in that way.
Absolutely. I know you. And a lot of people can relate to that as well. And, I've followed your journey since we first met, and seen the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs, and it's been fantastic. Great, some great insights there. Right, now I want to move on to Now I want to move on to the impact questions. And these are questions I've asked everybody that I've had conversations with on the Global Impact Show. And these are questions, and I tell everybody that I'll give the questions before, so some interviewees can prep a little bit if they want to. But these get beyond the business surface and stuff, and just see what they're like. So, question number 1, Amanda: who is your hero?
Who is my dad? Is my hero.
Because
my dad is my hero. He's the one that I ask for advice from. He's the one that I want him to say, yes, that's okay, Amanda, you can do that. He's the one that has inspired me. He's the one that started me on this journey. I wanted to be an actress. He brought me back down to earth because I can't sing and I can't act. He must have seen that I had this business mindset even when I was 16. And he's always supported me, even when I've been horrendous. Wow. So my dad is my hero. He inspires me every day.
Fantastic. Shout out for Amanda's dad. What's his name?
Frank.
Frank what? Frank Watts? No. Whatever.
No. Newell. Frank Newell. And we've even got a hashtag for him. It's Be More Frank. Be More Frank.
Great hashtag. I love it. Give me some likes and hearts for everybody who agrees, who loves that hashtag, Be Like Frank. Question number 2, Amanda. Apart from your own book, what book do you think entrepreneurs need to read?
Okay, Built to Sell.
Oh, who's that by?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I can't remember.
We'll find it. I'm sure some. I think Michelle's watching this broadcast. You'll find out. So, Built to Sell.
Yeah, Built to Sell.
And the premise of the book?
The premise of the book is take yourself out of the business and build a business that isn't reliant on you. So I'm probably saying it's the one that people should read because it's really resonating with me at the moment. That and the E-Myth. Okay, which is Gerber.
Is it similar to E-Myth? I know Gerber's E-Myth. Is it similar?
Yeah, very similar to that. But really, one of the reasons why I love it is because they're talking about an agency, so I feel like it really resonated with me. I read it a few years ago, and it didn't really flicker on my radar. I listened to it in the past couple of weeks on Audible, and it's absolutely amazing. And it's about how can you build a business that has methodology in it. So it's very similar. The program that you and I were on together, Dan's KPI program, it's very similar to that. Mm-hmm. It's building the methodology. It's about making sure that you're not in the business. Mm-hmm. It's about making sure that you stand for something, that you work something, that you have the brochure. Everything that we've learned over the past few years, it just solidifies that in one book, and it's awesome.
John Werrello?
Yes, that's
so
the one.
Facebook Live is amazing. We put something out there. We've got 3 people put the link to Amazon. We've got Glenn putting the name out there. That's the power of the immediacy of this. You won't get that on a TV thing. So, just out of interest, so startups might think that they do everything and they can't break that ceiling of employing someone or freelancers because there's money invested and start growing a team. What's the breaking point? What do people need to do to start building their team?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you need to do is get admin help. So actually, no, that's not true. There's 2, and you can choose 1 or 2. Admin help if you feel overwhelmed and like you're going to break. If you feel like you need more clients and you're frustrated, you need a salesperson. So they're one of the 2. So if you are so busy and doing well, you need admin help to take the pressure off. If you are suffering, then you need to invest in a salesperson. And the best way to do that is to pay them commission. And not worry about having to pay them until they start bringing it in. Yeah. I did employ people a few years ago. That's quite difficult when you employ. The world has changed. You can get freelancers now to help you where you don't have to employ them. You can say, can you work 10 hours a week? And that's absolutely fine. Or you can have them work for you 1 week and not the next week. It's not as difficult as it was years ago. Thank
God for Elance.
Yes.
I've hired a couple of people from Elance, do some sales copy for me. Do some emails. It's a godsend. And like you say, you can have a multi-million-pound business with a quite lean team. You don't need office help and all the rest of it. Fantastic. Next question. Yeah. Amanda, whose work do you admire?
Whose work do I admire? I have a lot of respect for Daniel Priestley, who was one of the first people that taught me a lot to get out of hobby mode and into business mode. Why do I admire him so much? I think because he looks big now and he's doing really, really well now. But when he started, and I look at some of the first videos that he did, they were no different from where we were a few years ago. He's leveraged everything that he teaches, and he's leveraged his network And he walks the walk. There are a lot of people out there who teach stuff and they don't do it themselves, and it's just hollow. So I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, that was a program that I was on that I met you on, Amanda. And I've got a lot of time for Daniel as well. You know, he came from Australia, credit card suitcase. I interviewed him for my first book, and absolutely, he knew what he wanted to create. He didn't know the vehicle. The KPI vehicle came along, and he's maximised it. So yeah, a lot of. Sorry?
And he cares. And
he does. He does, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Next question. What is the one thing that you believe that will change the way people live their lives?
I think awareness. So we see a lot of life coaches popping up, and we see a lot of work being done on personal development. I think that the bottom will fall out of that market. But I do believe that the fact that we can listen to books, we can have conversations like this, we can share our insights and our thoughts, I think people will start to get more awareness on what's happening in the world, what's happening inside of them as well, and start to analyse their behaviours. And these behaviours will enable us to change the world. And I think awareness will do that. It's taking time. There are some who have not yet been found their awareness, but I know I've changed and I'm making a better difference to the world through awareness. And I think that more people that get that will make that difference.
Definitely. I remember the very first conversation. I think you were contemplating KPI, and I remember I can't remember. It was an event near Oxford Street, I think it was, and
it was their brand accelerator where I met you.
Yeah. And I think you might be saw me somewhere else. Can you say, "Oh, do you remember me?" They were talking, and you were just sort of saying, "I'm thinking about this. What do you reckon?" And you were on your thing, and you were very enthusiastic. You're still like that, but you're very considered now. You're very, you've walked the talk as well. You know, from that experience where it's fantastic. So that's good. So awareness is a great thing because, like you say, the personal development world is full of a lot of people who are doing some good stuff, but there's a level at which you've got to follow through on bits and pieces, and it's just a question of it's like when The Secret came out. A lot of people on The Secret. Right? It's the same thing. 2007, people looking for an answer. The Secret came out at the right timing. Great answer. Bang, Bob Proctor, DeMartini, the whole lot. And then it settled down for, hang on, where's the actual substance here? Where's the actual doing the do? And I think you're right. The consciousness, especially what's going on in the world with Trump and Brexit, awareness is key. So absolutely 100% agree with you. Next question, Amanda.
Yes.
And you ask this question apparently every evening. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
I know, I feel like I'm talking to my son when you ask me that question.
Oh, Mum!
So, I know, in fact. So the debate is, do I want to have the power to fly, the power to be invisible? Do I want all of these things? Do I want to be Thor? I would like to be with Thor, yes, very much so. we love Australians in our family. So, but what's really interesting, actually, is then, you and I had a quick discussion about it, and I think my superpower is, the continued consciousness to be able to see that I can make anything happen and create anything. And I was saying this the other day, that I haven't been stuck in a traffic jam for like 5 years. There's somebody else I know that, because his mindset is kind of quite down and quite miserable and life is really hard, he gets stuck in traffic jams for like 3 hours every Friday. Okay, for me, I can go on the M25 and it's like the Red Sea; it just parts for me, and I never get stuck in a traffic jam. It's madness. And then we were told last week that when I was going to an event, it's going to be really busy. There's roadworks. You have to leave really early. It took me 20 minutes to get there, not 2 hours. And it's just like, when I knew there'd be no traffic, and it's kind of a little bit like mindset. So my superpower is, what you believe happens.
Great. It's like that thing about, I'll always find a parking space. I have a friend that says, I'll always find one. And as soon as I said that, 9 times out of 10, you find one. The world conspires to what you expect from it and look for.
That's right. And you can, and I'm not one into manifesting and the woo-woo stuff. I'm not particularly, that's not what I preach at all. But I do believe that if you have a positive mindset and you put it out into the universe, you might see it come back to you in different ways. But life's pretty good. We're pretty lucky, really. I really do believe that.
Yeah, and that requires perspective as well. That's why a lot of people, which I do like, a lot of people are going on this thing about, have this gratitude minute in the morning. Just write down all the things you're grateful for, just to put things in perspective, as opposed to having a day And I had one of those days 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had to just sit there, hang on, what am I grateful for? And you're in so much better position than a lot of people in the world. Yeah, you might want to be in the head, but just be grateful where you are. So great. So your superpower is awareness, which you've already got. Fantastic. Yes. Great. Next question. What do you know to be true that many others disagree on?
Hustle. I'm sure that probably this is something a lot of the more successful entrepreneurs would say, is that hustle is a load of tosh, because actually it's about being smart. You can work 11 hours a day. You can get up at 4:30 and be part of the 5 a.m. club. You can do all of that. But actually, if you work smart and you're focused and you have the plan and you work it for a year, that will get you further than if you just think that getting up early, hustling, Facebook Living every 5 minutes, putting an update every 2 minutes, constant. That's the best way to make yourself ill, not the best way to have business success.
So your definition of hustle is working smart?
Yes, very much so. Not hard, working smart.
That's interesting, because there's a vibe going on Facebook about hustle being, weaving and deaving and sort of doing what you need to do in the deal. It's not about that for you.
It's not that I believe. So yes, okay, you have to sometimes work longer hours when you're your own boss. You might have to work really hard for 3 weeks, but you have to then celebrate and recalibrate and really get yourself back into looking after yourself, and actually having downtime enables you to be more creative. Mm-hmm. If you're constantly hustling, how can you come up with these really good insights? How can you come up with this life-changing information? Because you have to actually have downtime to be able to even be shown these insights and to really understand them. If you're constantly hustling, you'll be exhausted, absolutely shattered.
Is that something you've always believed, or recently because of your recent challenges?
I'd say the past couple of years. So even when I wasn't feeling great, and I'm still not 100% there health-wise, but even when I was getting worse and worse and worse, I stopped hustling. But I would say that actually my success comes with focus, not hustle. And the more I focus, the easier it is. It actually becomes, dare I say, easy.
I've got a comment here.
That takes time.
I've got a comment here, Amanda. So on Bobby Shah saying, trying to learn to work smarter, but I struggle to set it all up.
Okay. So does he measure what he does? So many people hustle. They might do 10 Facebook Lives in a week, and they might do 300 blog posts and do all of it. Are you measuring it? Are you actually sitting back and going, what's taking effect and what's working? Because if you're not doing that, then you're just hustling and making noise and burning yourself out, when actually it might be a lot better to send 10 direct mail letters like I'm doing, phoning them up the next week, getting a client that pays 10 grand at the end of it. Yeah. That's far more sensible than doing hundreds of Facebook Lives hoping to sell a £20 product.
So that talks to me about having a strategy. You've got a strategy. So I'm working for 1 year. My strategy, I contact 5 per day. I make X number of phone calls. If I do those numbers, this is what the law of averages say I will get. If those numbers don't stack, then we'll move on. But you can't tell me that strategy doesn't work until I implement it. And then I'm assuming as you go along, you might tweak a little bit here and there, because you learn. Yeah. You don't just you sit now and 12 months' time you change it. You tweak as you go along.
Absolutely. And even like the letters that we're sending out to the accountants, we're tweaking the wording in them to see which lands better. So, okay, the goal is the same and the platform is the same, but what we're saying on the platform and what we're doing and how how quickly we're phoning them the following week, do we leave it 3 days or 4 days, which is more successful? What language are we using when we phone them up? We're measuring all of that, which is why we're giving it a year, because it takes that long to work out how to use it. Same with Facebook advertising. People think Facebook advertising is going to work on day dot. You have to tweak and measure, tweak and measure, tweak and measure.
And that's important you say that about giving it a year. You've not sort of sat there and said, right, okay, I know accountants have a need. I know what I've got they want, so they should be knocking down my door in 2 days' time. You still got, even if you've got a prime market, hungry for yourself, you still got to do the numbers and the time.
You still have to do the drills.
Great. Next question, Amanda. When was the first experience in your life when you realised you had the power to do something meaningful?
When I hit rock bottom. So wasn't long ago. It was back in 2009 when I came out of a really toxic relationship, and I realised that I'd been living in consume mode. So it was about how can I have the best life? How can I do this? How can I do that? I want. I wasn't that bad, but that's kind of the mentality.
Yeah.
I wasn't evil. But that was the mentality. It was about what can I get from this life? When I hit rock bottom and came out of a really toxic relationship, I went, how can I make my children's lives better? And then I realised that I could make my life and my children's lives better by making a big difference in the world. And that's when I realised that there was more to life than the sum of me. And yeah, that was pretty amazing. And that's when I realised how grateful I was for that lesson.
Fantastic, great. Super. And you've been living that ever since.
Yes, and don't get me wrong, I have my down days. I have my days when I feel sorry for myself. You know, I'm not superhuman. Sometimes I'm just like, why me? Why do I have to do it?
Yeah.
And then I wake up the next day and go, thank you. I'm so grateful that I do have to do it.
Yeah.
But I do have days when I want to cry and hide from the world. We all have them. We're all human.
100%. I get what you're saying there. Last couple of questions.
Yep.
Last three questions. What is the single biggest obstacle you've had to overcome? You might have answered this.
Yeah, I would say that was the single biggest obstacle I've had to overcome, but I would still say that I haven't overcome the fact of my grandfather dying when I was 15. That still is a massive obstacle. Every time I think of him, it makes me sad, and I don't know how to turn that around. So, yeah, that would be the honest answer. The biggest obstacle is getting over, the death of my grandfather when I was 15. And these things do affect people forever. I would say that's probably the hardest. But because I got over the other one, and I've turned that into something positive. So it wasn't that hard, actually. Getting over that horrendous time wasn't that hard. The most horrendous is still dealing with the fact of the loss of my grandfather, which I didn't realise till you asked me that question.
Oh.
There you go.
Sorry I brought that up, Amanda.
No, that's all right. It's fine.
I'm sure he was a very inspirational man.
Yes, he was very inspirational, and he was a real gentleman and was very strong and was very caring. And yeah, he was amazing. He used to work in the print for the Daily Sketch. And yeah, he was pretty awesome. But I had a great relationship. It's about relationships with people. Yeah,
absolutely. Knowing how, just out of interest, you don't have to answer this question. What do you think he'll be saying about what you do today?
Today, he'd be proud. Like 15 years ago, he'd be like, Amanda, what do you think you're doing? Today, I think he'd be really proud. And a lot of what I do is because actually I want to show him and the rest of my family that, you can do something good with your life. It's not just about me. I was ever spoiled when I was little. Spoiled with love. Not financially, but spoiled with love.
Well, you can't be spoiled with love. It's even more, that's why I think you're so generous in terms of what, you've got tactics, you've got strategy, you've got very business-minded, but you do that with a sense of so much empathy and care that I think your granddad will be so pleased with that. And like you say, he's very proud. And to overcome that obstacle, it's more about saying, do you know what? Yes, the fact that he's not here is a massive pain. However, I'm going to use that strength of that memory that he had for me and use that in business, which I think you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very proud. Last couple of questions. Right, what film would you say everyone should watch in their lifetime?
Everyone or business owners?
I've put everyone here, but you can give me 2 films if you want.
Okay, so recently I watched The Founder, which was awesome, which is about Ray Kroc. The Founder,
right.
Which is about Ray Kroc.
Oh, the McDonald's film. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's awesome. Absolutely brilliant. And actually, let's refer back to what you said earlier, The Secret. I think people should watch it. So the reason why is that's when my mindset started to shift. That was the start of my personal development. I do believe it's only half the story. But if you are at the beginning of your journey wondering why and what is and what you can change, it's a really, really good film to watch. And other than that, My Fair Lady. It's my favourite movie.
Oh, My Fair Lady.
Good musical. My Fair Lady.
Is that on every Christmas at your household?
Yeah, no, it's on in the summer. It's a summer one. The Christmas one has to be Elf. So you have to watch Elf.
Right, okay.
Or White Christmas with Bing Crosby.
Okay. I thought you might have said Wizard of Oz.
No, I can't stand the Wizard of Oz.
No?
Courage
and the heart and all the rest of it.
It's a Wonderful Life as well. Is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
That's
a lot of people say that.
I like the old movies. They're the real ones with real stories.
I get that. You're not that old, Amanda. I'm talking about quite young at
And
heart.
I am in my mind.
Last question, Amanda. What do you want your legacy to be?
I basically want to be known as someone who has made a difference to people's lives, made them better. I am a fixer. I am someone who wants to rescue people. I'm very aware of that. But because of those things, I do want to be known as someone who made a difference. Definitely.
Fantastic.
For my babies, especially.
And I think that, if you quit today and just went and lived in a Necker Island for the rest of your life, people would say that now. So you can only enhance it. That would be from my perspective. So I think you're living your legacy, which is a testament for a lot of things that you want to give to your clients. Listen, it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed this. I think you might be the one that had the most interaction on
that's good.
So that's really good. So either you're really good, or I'm really good, or we're both really good. I don't really care.
Right.
There's one. Yeah, it's great.
We make a good team.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to work together even more, and I think we'll do that soon. So, any final thoughts on what you want to say to people? Because this is going to be on Facebook Live, and obviously it's going to be on YouTube as well.
Okay, I want to talk about gumption.
Go on.
All right, and gumption is where you are absolutely petrified, but you close your eyes and jump anyway. So my final words are: everybody embrace gumption. You probably are petrified. Everybody is petrified, big or small. Even before Tony Robbins goes out and does a talk, he's still scared. Close your eyes, jump, go for it. Use gumption. Your life will change.
I love the word gumption, because some people say, just take a chance. Gumption is Amanda's word, and I love that, and I get that. Bobby's saying, great interview, great interesting questions. You've been wonderful, Amanda. Jackie said, gumption's a great word, and she's been quoting that. Listen, it's been fantastic having you on the Global Impact Show. This is a show for impact makers, change makers, and entrepreneurs who are looking to make an impact on the world. And my whole thing is about how we make a game-changing contribution. So if you've enjoyed this interview, please share it on your timeline. Please share it when you see it on YouTube. Amanda, you've been a fantastic guest. Hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks for me. Yes, I have. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I can't believe how quickly it's gone.
I know. It's great with some great comments. And listen, if you're watching this live, please share it. If you're watching the recording, please share it. And please make your comments. I'm sure Amanda will go back onto the timeline then and check and reply to all your comments. If you want to be on a Global Impact Show, just drop me a DM. Let me know why you think people would love to hear from you. I'll be more than happy to consider you coming on the show. That's great for me. It's coming up to 6 o'clock, so I need tea time for a lot of people.
It is.
So
I'm
great.
off to eat my shepherd's pie.
Absolutely great. I hope it's homemade.
Yes, very much so. The husband's made it.
Woo! Absolutely great. Right. Thanks, Amanda. Have a good one. Thank you, everybody else. Take care.
See you later.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.